Hello once again. I'm Herb Glenn, and I'm here to talk about some very important issues in our community. One of them is that this is Valentine's Day. And as it is in Valentine's Day, you always want to have an opportunity to find someone who has a passion. And the passion is all about giving back to the community. And I have an opportunity today to talk to Miss Pat Bradford, who has a very strong passion about giving back to the community and developing ways in which individuals can be able to benefit from it, where it can be supportive towards an opportunity where our communities can really progress. Pat, thank you so much for spending some time with me on this very important day of the month. How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you.
Well, listen, a lot of folk, and I can really say because a lot of folk don't know me. Why don't we talk a bit about you? You've been pretty much a part of this community for a number of years. And in your years that you have been able to participate and invest in the neighborhoods, you have found a strong opportunity to influence individuals in a positive way. Tell us exactly what your life has been like and how it's going to be helpful in the future.
Well, I'm born in Newark.
Mm-hmm.
That's my passion that comes forward. It's my home. And I grew up in the Central Ward, Hillside Place, Railroad Apartments, Coldwater Flats. I've seen our city evolve. And a lot of people put it down, saying that it's awful, it's bad. But we didn't have steam heat and hot water. We grew up on Hillside Place, went to Charlton Street School, and we played in the streets, and we had very little. My mother was a single parent, and she worked hard in the factories, but she wanted more than that for us.
Mm-hmm.
And she encouraged me, go to school, stay in school. You can be somebody. You are somebody. And that's the role I took on also when I became a parent. My 3 wonderful children,
Mm-hmm.
they grew up in Newark. They went to Westside High just like I did. They graduated. My 2 sons, military, one 20 years, the other. He's still there doing ship welding. My daughter, they grew up, no jail, no drugs,
Mm-hmm.
but it was a school that taught me how to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
PTA, going into the gymnasium, opening up after school programs. I got a wealth of education just by being community and parent involved.
Mm-hmm. Year after year after year, don't you get tired of it?
Never.
Why?
Well, the measure of watching our children grow. To me, to walk down the street and kids, to me, they're children, but they're grown men and women, have their children, and they say, my mom loved you, and you did so much with Chapter 1, Title 1, and we grew up to love, and we want to do the same for our kids. My children say the same thing. So to me, it's rewarding to know that someone got through this maze called education, and they become viable community people. They buy their homes, their vehicles, raise their children, and I love to see it continue. It progresses. I see kids who people said, oh, he's hopeless, he's nothing, but with the right conversation with their parent and coming to parent meeting, having workshops provided, there was so much growth, not just with them, but me. I grew to be what I am today. And I don't think that's a bad thing.
Everybody don't have that kind of passion or interest, even as much a method of being able to approach it. Yet and still, we believe that individuals who are in the position to manifest those kinds of goals inundate them and then, in fact, overwhelm them. Why do you think you're not taking advantage of something that someone else should be doing?
Well, I believe that when a parent knows, it sparks a different thing inside of them. They may have grown up having really horrific situations, the lack of trust, they're feeling that they're incompetent, because people, when you walk into school, doesn't mean everybody's going to love you. In fact, they say, uh-oh, here comes somebody else. But I know how to teach. You do. But I'm a parent, and I know how to teach my child too. So it's something you have to overcome. And I felt that with us having camaraderie with other parents, you know, we all teach each other something too.
Okay.
Some of them have skills that just are unimaginable. And they're willing to give if someone approaches them the correct way.
Do you think that advocacy really matters?
Oh, it's a world of difference between being involved and non-involvement. You know, you don't have to be there all the time. Some of the times, but learning the correct information, like, say, for instance, an ISIP, Individual Student Improvement Plan. You're supposed to receive one with the report card. It tells you every skill that your child is lacking and what they have already completed. So sometimes even teachers need to really look at the ISIP and not put everybody in that category of non-learning a skill. Because if this child has done it, why repeat it all the time? Give him something else to help his interests. So parents learning how to help with the homework, what the skills are, the measurements of what they should have acquired from one year to the next. I mean, that's a wealth of information. So if your child was on the 3rd grade level, you can learn methods of how to bring him up to the 7th grade level, and he's in the 7th grade. So parental involvement is so key, and it's more important that you learn exactly how to be involved, not just come in and say, I want you to do the bake sale. I don't want to bake. I want you to sell cookies and candies. It's more to education than that. And when a parent comes in and gives you their time, be truthful, be honest about which way to help the child. And the parent would love that teacher. I know the ones that took the time and the principals that took the time with me. I tell you the truth, there's nothing I love more.
Thinking about it from that perspective, parenting is a very difficult task. No matter who you think you are and what you think you are capable of doing, it's always evolving simply because of our surroundings. How does trust matter when it comes to individuals who represent institutions?
Well, like I said, you have to judge each person on an individual basis. Some people don't trust you as a parent. They don't want to know. You come in here and you do what I say, and some of them handle our children in the same manner. You cannot handle children that way. You cannot handle the parent that way. You have to spark both interests. If you want to see growth in your test scores and your academics of the children. And I found that a lot of people don't trust the administration.
Why?
Well, the administration hasn't always been the best. We have some people who have been great as leader in the schools. They go into the classroom, they really help their staff, They help parents. I ran into some remarkable principals. Yes, remarkable. Because they too didn't want their schools to fail. So they grab a hold of a parent that comes in willingly and want to help out. And they taught me so much. And when I was afraid and I was nervous and I was frightened because I wasn't the scholar. Mm-hmm. They pushed me out there. They lifted me up. They said, "You can do this." And then one day I learned to have a voice. I could talk. Mm-hmm. I learned that what I said is important to a lot of people who are not so important. We think the principal, I don't like him. Why? He's really trying hard to make everything come together. So if you come in and give a helping hand, I learned to read. I learned about drugs. Yeah, that's important. I learned about the importance of attendance. There was so many things that manifest out of the relationship. Mm-hmm. And that's why I can never get tired. Education is a lifetime learning experience. And I feel every time I walk into, whether it's my work or into my community, I still learn more about people and what they have the ability to do and what they're willing to give.
Having age and having experience brings wisdom. And in the context as I'm really wanting to represent is that obviously there's always a pattern of conversation that says that a person needs to retire from being involved. Mm-hmm. Why haven't you done that?
I did. I was retired for maybe a 10-year period. And then one day I said, I've still got so much more to give.
Wow.
And I decided to go back to work after retirement. They say your pension, you're going to lose your money, you're going to lose everything. Why are you going and do this? I said, hey. So I gave up the pension.
Really?
Really.
You gotta be nuts.
I'm not kidding you.
I
gave up the pension.
What are you, wealthy? You like filthy rich?
Yeah, I am. I really am. After you've bought your home and you got 2 cars in a garage and your kids are grown, you still
you can give back.
You could give back.
Yeah.
And I'm working now at the Newark Fire Department.
Okay.
Public safety, if we can now call
wow.
it. But I do community relations.
Okay.
My career took off from being parentally involved. I worked for the Board of Education. I worked for the County of Essex. I managed the golf courses. Mm-hmm. I also worked at an outpatient mental health clinic. I learned to feel for people.
Wow.
I learned how desperate some people have life.
Okay.
All of that seasoned, tenderized me. I was tough, growing up in Central Ward. I was tough. So it helped to make me a little softer, a little more caring.
Right.
And then I also worked for Councilman Charles Bell.
Okay.
I worked for the executive superintendent of schools, working in community relations at the Board of Education.
So you know where all the skeletons are.
Yeah, I sure
in a
do.
sort of matter of speaking. Let me ask you, you are now back in the limelight, so to speak, because as we know, being involved in politics is more popularity than it is having skills. And we know that most of the individuals who get there learn new skills. So there's always an opportunity where somebody could benefit from it if they are able to accomplish that task. What do you bring to the table?
I bring kindness and love. I bring wisdom, understanding, endurance till the end. See, I know that there are things that are hard tasks, but I see it being a failure as a harder task than to be a winner and improve things. So I'm not here for the fame. It's never been glorious. I've had a foot in my neck quite often about being involved. Everybody doesn't want you to be involved. So you have to take that and still decide whatever the goal is you're trying to reach, the people you are trying to touch, is that more important, or are you self-centered? Are you only concerned about how you feel? I've thrown those feelings away so often. I've got thick skin. I learned how to really be tough. Tough isn't about if you can jump up and fight and yell and scream at somebody. Tough is if you can put away all of your feelings and know that there's a goal that still has to be reached and help someone to get there.
Let's talk a little bit about the issues.
Issues.
Local control, good or bad?
Great.
Really?
I've marveled for this to come about. I stood there at Broad Market and I tried to explain to my community, does choice mean choice? I saw it by going out with Chapter 1, Title 1. We went across the country. We saw the different changes that were coming about, how they were changing New Orleans and many of these places that they tout as wonderful. I saw impoverished people all the time. It's the impoverished people that they take advantage of because you have the will to want better. So they said, dangle that carrot, then they got the stick. It doesn't make it better. But when they took our district in 1995, I stood in Trenton at that board meeting. I was sitting in the Board of Education when they came in and they ousted a superintendent and various board members who had nothing but goodness in their heart to volunteer and care. I said, is it just a caring
But
situation?
let me understand that now. A lot of it was because of mismanagement, fiscally, that there were things that really weren't done properly. You say that isn't so?
They said. They said that so that they could come in and get the contracts. They can control the money.
Because I know they've been losing a lot of money, right?
Oh, we've
I mean,
never had
the school construction
we
money
used
is
to
a
always
fiasco.
have to. We used to always have money left every year.
Really?
Every year, there were $3-4 million that the superintendent had to work and start out with the next year with. Throw in a few more things that were not done. There were some bad people.
Okay.
There's still some bad people.
Okay.
I don't see them being punished.
True.
$75 million deficit with Beverly Hall.
Right.
$350 million, $60 million deficits with Cami Anderson. Right now we have a deficit.
Right.
But now they're going to give it back to us.
How come?
They've taken away everything.
When you say
no
they're going to give it
they're
back
going
to
to give
us,
it.
what do you mean?
That's what local control means. Giving the people their right
Okay.
to vote,
Okay.
and their vote is meaningful.
Let me ask you this question then. There is going to be on the table an option, whether or not it can be an appointed board or an elected board. Which one would you favor?
I still think an elected board is more favorable. I still believe that. I saw a Type 1 district. I saw that mayor appointed. I saw the Type 2 district. Forget about that mix and mingle stuff. It's time for the people in Newark to pull up their bootstraps and get out here and start realizing the importance of your vote.
Well, how would an elected board create more participation? Because we know that the lowest amount of population come out for school board elections.
Board members teaching the people what their vote represents. I used to sit on various...
But you couldn't do it now?
No.
What is the reason why?
No matter what it was that you came together and culminated with, the state made a determination And no matter what it was that the board thought, they couldn't do it. So,
The events that happen to get parents to participate with school board meetings, to say the least, if there aren't any, they don't come. What is it that's going to make it better for the participation of parents once local control becomes effective?
well, it depends upon who's on your board.
Okay.
It always does. You can't have people that just sit there and fold their hands and nod their heads. You have to have people on there that are knowledgeable. I mean, we used to have policy committee. We had facility committees.
If elected,
We
would you really institute those challenges that you know work?
Yes,
You would.
I definitely would.
The benefit of having the knowledge that you do and understanding the experiences, the failures, and the successes provides more of a potential for you to have a very good influence. Not being limited, where do you think you would have the most influence if elected?
If elected, I would like to work on policy as well as facilities, because a lot of people put all of the focus on instruction, but much of the instruction is not occurring. When you don't have science labs for children to have chemistry and all of the different things that they need when they go to college, well, then you still have nothing. And you can dress up a building, but it doesn't mean it has the tools you need inside it for instruction to occur. And with the facilities being more money than the instruction, $1 billion instruction, then the capital is humongous. And that's what also we have lost so much money, because the voters had put money there. They spent the money. And we still don't have the kind of facilities that we had laid out in our vote. So when we go back to local control, we don't just say yes or no to that budget. We also say yes or no to what happens with facilities. And that means your tax money, your dollars as homeowners, things that you have to pay for, you can say yes or no. Right now, you can't say yes or no. The state is putting together whatever plan, and that's it. You have been going with the flow for 22 years.
When you look at the relevancy of the statement you just made in regard to administrative funding, monies that's being spent, they spent just $42 million. They agreed on spending $42 million for the administrative facilities. Good or bad?
You're talking about a Board of Education that we have rented from Hart's Mountain for over 30 years. They've made millions and millions and billions of dollars on our tax dollar. You go up to Springfield or any of the neighboring communities, they have a Board of Education. They're not renting from somebody's paying those kind of enormous amounts. The people at the board meeting yesterday, they had the nerve to come before the board and reduce the amount that they were going to charge us for the next lease that they had.
Not a good decision.
They were going to reduce it, but still the money was going to cost as much as for the year as us getting a building of our own.
Do you think that the decision being made was more of an influence from a relationship of the government, because the superintendent was all for it?
Well, you know, for it having been from before state operated, we rented this building on 2 Cedar Street. I mean, we have been pouring in. Not only do you pay the lease, you have to do all of the fixing and the repairs and whatever. When you talk about the astronomical amount of money that we have had to pay out over more than 30 years,
There needs to be a change.
there needs to be a change.
Well, we're going to be looking forward to you being part of the panel discussions and the way in which you want to develop an opportunity where individuals can see that you are a choice and someone who significantly can make an impact to our community if elected. We thank you very much for giving us an opportunity to share with our viewers just your attitude and how you do have an incredible ability to bring something to the table and help bring improvement to some place where you've lived and loved all of your life. Thank you so much for being here.
And thank you for inviting me.
All right. And we thank you for tuning in. We want to look forward to having more opportunities like this. And we hope that you do enjoy your Valentine's Day and make sure that you enjoy it with someone that you love. Thanks again. Have a good evening.